Now I'm getting cross-eyed. Okay, there, I need to look at this one, otherwise I'm looking there. Okay, so the questions or the topics are all related to pathways. The first one is, well, I would accept a volunteer, although I would prefer the volunteer would be somebody who didn't speak. So share with us your most memorable experience with pathways. It could be memorable in a positive sense, or it could be memorable in a not very good sense, but memorable. So share with us your most memorable experience. And let me see if I can see somebody unmuting herself. And she's smiling, so she's going to mute herself soon. If not, I will just call on Jenny.
Well, you did say positive or negative. I have had some pretty negative experiences with pathways in that I go into the website and I think, yes, I know exactly what I'm doing. And I click on things and it just keeps coming up with all these different learning things, you know, the what do they call them? My mind's going complete blank because I'm way over. But you know, those learning things where they go through that if you do this, you do that, and blah blah blah. And I don't want that. I want to know what my next level is. I want to know where I'm going from here, and I just find it completely mind-boggling. But I have discovered that if I pop up that little window at the bottom, which has a list of what you're going to do next, and you do that, it works. But sometimes you can't see that little box because unless you make your screen big, it sort of disappears down the edges. And if you're not in the right mindset, you forget that you found it there last time, and you think, where has it gone? Panic, panic, panic. So, you know, I have had lots of these moments when I've gone, oh, I hate this pathways. It's just stupid. I don't want to do it anymore. But then I find where I'm going, and then I do another speech, and it gets ticked off, and I'm happy. So, you know, it's a love-hate relationship I have with pathways. Then I go and read one of Julie's blogs, and I think, well, yeah, she did this and she did that, and maybe it will work for me. Maybe it will. So but I still am very disappointed. I would like them to have kept the CC manual for absolute beginners, because I think the CC manual takes people through all the little stages of doing a speech, and we found with our new members that they really do like that. In fact, we have one who has specifically asked, and I had a spare manual, so I've given it to her, and she is working through that before she even looks at pathways, because she wants to know how to give a speech before she starts doing all this other stuff. That's enough for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think you would have been ready to tell a 5 to 7 minute story, apparently, with that as your base experience. So we have heard an unforgettable or a memorable negative experience. I would like to hear from, well, again, because I want to focus on those who have not given speeches. Val, would you care to answer a table topics question? Yes. Okay. So you can either respond to that same question, or my other question would be, share with us your experience wherein you helped someone on pathways and it just felt so good for you. So you can either answer the same question that Jenny answered earlier, or this second one, which is share with us an experience that where you helped someone on pathways and you just felt so good.
Okay. I have helped, I think, almost all of our members, but one in particular, an older lady who has struggled using her computer. I ended up at every meeting, at every time that she's ever been anywhere talking about pathways, she throws her hands in the air and waves them about and says it's impossible and it's difficult and she can't do it and it's stupid, and she has a whole vocabulary to use that she uses to describe pathways, and says she goes round and round and round in circles. And I finally was going near her place. She lives over 100 kilometres from our club. She travels a lot. But I was over there and I spent 2 hours with her at her house with her internet on her computer, and we discovered exactly what the problem was. And it's something that I believe is an inherent problem with pathways, in that when you click on your path, it opens in this new window, which is Cornerstone On Demand, and 9 times out of 10 it opens behind your window that you're looking at, and unless you know to go and find it, you can't see it. So that many times you keep clicking on it and it keeps opening in another window, but you never find it. And so this particular day I showed our member how to find it, to minimise the window she's looking at and then find the other window behind it, and her whole world opened up like a big vista of dawning. However, that was 3 weeks ago, so whether she has now, and she's been on holidays, so whether the next time I meet her she has remembered how to find the transcript and the projects, I don't know. But at least I can now say to her, please minimise your window, find the window that's behind it, and then you'll be right.
Wow.
So thank you, Madam Toastmaster, Table Topics
Thank you.
Master.
Thank you. That was a wonderful story of helping people or helping someone. I love that. And that could have been a 5 to 7 minute story as well, where you would have the dialogue of all of this litany of complaints against pathways. Wonderful. Asil, have you started on pathways? Have you started?
Hi, Michelle. Yes,
Yes.
I just started my pathway on motivational strategies,
Oh,
and I
awesome.
did my first icebreaker.
Okay, wonderful. So, Asil, for the benefit of the others, I think almost everybody knows Asil, but for Jenny, maybe, and Val, Asil is a charter member of the newest, youngest 100% online club, Witty Birds. So, Asil, tell us about your experience making that shift, because initially you might have started on traditional. I'm not sure how Svetlana got you your charter member started, but share with us your experience of the transition into pathways. And I will time for you, so don't worry.
Okay. My first experience was with Mortal and Brick. You say that, when you go physically to the clubs. So I did that old program with manuals, everything. And 2 years ago, I visited Witty Storytellers. I think it was some problem, technical problem, so I couldn't hear, and I stopped coming to chat online clubs. Then not recently, a few months ago, like in March, Svetlana wrote an email to me if I could join the Witty Birds Toastmasters. So I said, okay, I will give a try. So now we're finally chartered, and little by little I heard about pathways, but I've never seen how it looked like. And finally we chartered, and now I have an access to pathway, and I think it looks amazing. I know that it will take some time to learn everything, but I like that it was like computerized, and you can see your progress, you can see everything. I know that old program, it's much easier, but this kind of you can have it on your desktop. So with the help of you, and all Toastmasters being around me now. So I think I will get through, I will get used to that, and I will be experiencing a wonderful journey with Pathway. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And let me see, have we had everyone the
There's
opportunity?
time for more, Michelle, if you've got another question.
Yes, I do have, and I am checking. We have everybody else, Jenny. So I guess we're now open season for our speakers, because everybody else who had not had the opportunity has had the chance. So my next question is, if you could change something about pathways, either about pathways with the system or with the implementation or anything about pathways, tell us, what would you change? And with that, yes, I was kind of guessing. Yes, go ahead, Carol.
I'm saying, pick me, pick me.
I'm sorry, should I time as well for 2
Yes.
minutes?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
1 to 2 minutes, green on 1.
Thank you, Table Topics Master Michelle. I have been working on just that during the week, where I've put together a list of now 13 things that I would change. And some of those things that have been spoken about today are featured on that list. These are ways I think we could improve the way Basecamp works. Pathways program itself has lots of content, lots of good things happening there, and it's based on sound educational principles. But it's Basecamp that lets us down. The technology needs to be easier. So one of the first things that I would change is, first, don't expect everyone to go in immediately and choose their path. Give them a free taste. Sure, there's one already there, the icebreaker. I say, give everyone level 1. Then they go through those 4 projects. They've got more of an idea of what it's like, and then they can choose their path. So for me, that would be the first thing to change. I haven't got time in the 2 minutes today to give you the rest of the 12, but believe me, we are going to put forward these improvements to the World Headquarters prior to our final Pathways Guides webinars next week, in the hope that they will hear us loudly, because we have been guides, we've been helping others, and we know all the pain points along the way, and we would hope that they could make those simple changes. Now, there's one that someone brought up in a sarcastic way, and that was, well, let's just throw out Cornerstone on demand. That's the real pain. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think we've got to work with that and find solutions to go around it. So for me, the first thing to do, in summary, is to give everybody access to a whole level before they choose a path. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you. I knew that there were going to be 2 people, definitely. And if Brian were here, there would be definitely 3 people who would have answers to that. So the same question this time for Julie. Same question. If you could change anything in Pathways, what would it be and why?
I have a blog which I began in May last year. And I can look at the statistics. And I can tell you that 45% of the Toastmasters who come to read my blog come through their smartphone. But they cannot use Pathway in smartphone. And those are most people from Far East. They don't have money to have a computer, but they have a smartphone. So my one and first, if I had only one, would be to make it possible to look and to use it Pathways through smartphone. There are many others, like small things that appear only when you hover in the place and you don't know where it is. But those are small things that are easy to change. In my opinion, it is not so difficult to, if a blogger, Google blogger can automatically do in my blog that you can see it in a big computer or you can see it in a small device, then Pathway should be able to be offered also to everyone, not only those who have a lot of money to buy computers, but also those who have only a small thing with it. And for me, that is the most important point of view, which we should try to convey. Pathway should be for everyone. And the second point, if I may, is when you need something, give it them where they need it. Because we have wonderful tutorials, but they are not there when we need. The tutorials tell you how to open a window big, how to put in a tab, how to finish a project, how to finish a level, tutorial for everything. But they don't come when we need them.
I knew I opened a Pandora's box with that question. Do we have time for one final respondent? Because I would like Zaldi to answer.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Michelle.
Zaldi, the same question. If you could change one thing, just one thing, so we stay within time, what would you change about Pathways and why?
First, there's only one thing that has to be changed, and it is the user interface. There is a book about user interface, and the title is Don't Make Me Think. So as an IT professional, I can navigate through because I have to think. But for the rest who are not that IT savvy, the interface should be made in such a way that they don't really have to think. And one thing I didn't like about that, there are some redundant parts there that lead you nowhere. And just like what Carol said, throw away Cornerstone on demand. Yes. Or the other approach would be to revise Cornerstone on demand. Mhm. I have been writing software almost all my life, almost all my working life, and the user interface had always been simple, and people have been able to do things without thinking. And maybe I should apply for a job at Cornerstone. Back to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed everyone's responses to the questions. We now have just a few minutes to the hour, so let me return control back to our Toastmaster. Welcome back, Carol.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Zaldi, you had me laughing out loud there. I think that is a priceless piece of advice. Don't make me think. Love that. And I'm going off to find the book. Thank you so much for those searching questions, Michelle. They were really on the nose, those, not on the nose, on the button. And I have to wrap up the meeting now. So I would like to thank everybody who has participated. So I'm going to change back to gallery view so I can see everybody. And for our speakers today, we began with Julie, who gave us the information about Pathway Story Swap. Thank you for that. There will be more of those. And if you're not sure when, Julie will tell you on her blog or in an email. Second, we had Zaldi talking about how he has made the best use of technology to help his club use a virtual member or a virtual visitor to his club. And then I spoke about my journey as a Pathways guide, and I actually learned from that process. I took some of the images that I had put on my blog and I put them together in that set of slides that I showed you today. But I've gone one step further. I've recorded that as a 3-minute tutorial and I've posted it to YouTube, and I thought it might make something different. And I'm a bit slow in the uptake, but that could be something that I can hand over to Graham from the Witty Storytellers, whose project it was to ask us to create small video tutorials. I would also like to thank Asil for her timing today. You've done a wonderful job. I especially love Mr. Pokemon as the interval there. This is being recorded, so if you miss some of it, you will be able to go back and look at that. Thank you, Michelle, for doing the table topics today and for stepping in as our 4th speaker today to tell us your story of Pathways. And a big shout out to Val, who only knew about this meeting this morning when we were having our mentoring session, and she has very graciously popped in today and shared her own story in table topics. And Jeannie and Val, your table topic stories were priceless. They tell us the real pain points, and you said it with such passion. People need to hear that. We've come to the end of the hour, and I will now ask Julie to close the recording. But just before we do, can we just do our familiar waving, which is like clapping without noise? And then Julie, you might like to take a snapshot. Thank you, everybody.